Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Good Journeys Tarot. Tonight, we're going to be having a conversation with Nina from Shuffle Tarot. Before we do, I just thought, as I often do during my lives, I'd share what things new and exciting have come into my practice recently. Some of you may have already seen where I did a walkthrough of the Curious Travels Tarot deck. Enjoying working with that for my weekly reading and daily card pulls this week. And that deck is going to be on out by US Games in the coming year. I also just got Chicken Kabbalah. I've literally read the first page and am looking forward to getting into this book. I've been taking an introduction to Kabbalah class with Mama Gina, and that is going really well. I just finished with it for this evening, and we're going to be moving into chatting with Nina in just a moment. Most of you will know Nina from her YouTube channel where she does beautiful videos. She has walkthroughs as well as educational videos on various tarot and rune things, and also she is on Instagram, so check her out there. And she has created 2 rune decks. If you've not already seen them, they're on Make Playing Cards. One is her Ready Runes, which I remembered about, and then she also did the Rune Spiral cards, which I had actually forgotten about. So without further ado, here is Nina. Welcome,
Hi,
Nina.
everyone. Hi, Rosemary.
Thank you for being here. So I'm glad that you could do this. I know it was a little bit of a task to work it out since we're 12 hours apart. So it is the equinox, and we are getting into fall here. You guys getting into spring there, right?
Mm-hmm. It's beautiful here at the moment.
Yeah. Great. Yeah, I went out today and picked up some fall leaves and enjoyed the cool air for a change. It had been hot up until last week, and then it rained for a week. And now it's beautiful, as far as I'm concerned anyway. And
actually,
I'm going high for the
my
fall.
favorite times of year.
Yeah, so spring is beautiful too. Hi, Liminal Lark. Welcome to the chat. So we do have some things that users on the Facebook group. Oh my goodness, my poor brain. Thoth from Scratch gave us. And then we will also be opening it up to questions from those of you who are in the chat. I see we've got a few people who have come in. Welcome. One of the things that I wanted to ask is if you have any current projects you're working on that you're excited about or that you want to make sure people hear about.
Yeah, I'm doing so many things all the time that I can't even keep up with myself. So I've got that Thoth from Scratch on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. So there's a whole bunch of videos that I'm slowly releasing. I'm releasing another one on Friday on the 10 Sephiroth, simplifying it and giving them a little bit more of a personality so it's easier to work with, because I noticed that there's heaps of videos out there, but they're really technical. So hopefully I've simplified it enough that it makes beginners able to incorporate the Sephiroth or look at them in their daily life. I've slowed down on the walkthroughs a little bit. That used to be the main thing on my channel, but at the beginning of this year, actually, I think it was, I wanted to get back to my spiritual practices and really do things that I'm excited about. And I thought it would be a quicker process, but it's taken quite a while to transition my channel, my social media, and things like that, and to be able to start doing new content. So I've got new decks in that I'm working with. They're a little bit different from what I used to work with before. I have a huge spectrum of tarot decks I like, but at the moment I'm really focused on what I call my educational decks. So I really want to get really in depth with Kabbalah and alchemy and mysticism and all of those things. So you'll probably see a lot more of that on my channel. I will do a few more walkthroughs as well, because I still have a passion for decks. But at the same time, I found when I went on this journey, I actually really cut down my tarot collection too. So I've only probably got a quarter of it left. I just really left what makes me happy. When I look at it, I really feel like if I didn't have it in my collection, there would be something or part of me missing, and that's all that's been left. I have got some new decks that I'm working with, which you probably would have seen on my channel. I've got these are the ones I'm working with right now, and there's books I'm working with, plus the walkthroughs and the Thoth from Scratch series, and also my rune readings, because I love the runes as well. So I've got the Liberty Tower of the Stars Eternal. I'm trying to get more familiar with this one. I was just really wishing that with this deck, the artist would be able to work with the creator, and there would have been a guidebook for it to explain, because unlike the Thoth, the minor cards have illustrations. So that's one of the reasons I really wanted to work with this deck. I'm trying to find one there's a few, okay, so like this one, some of them are a little bit explicit actually. So it has, you can see it's the 6 of spheres, but it also has some artwork to it. So I was really hoping there was a guidebook that they could have done to explain why they chose the artwork, and what it meant. And then I love Lon Milo Duquette. So, and Chicken Kabbalah is a great book. I'm actually referencing that one all the time, Rosemary. So I reckon you'll really love it. And he simplifies everything. He brings it all together. You don't realize you're learning. You're thinking this is a little bit basic when you read one of his books sometimes, but then you realize, wow, I've grasped so much without even realizing what's going on. And I think that's the brilliance of Lon Milo Duquette. So I've got this has been reprinted. I wanted to get this for ages, but they were $700 upwards. And he's reprinted the Tarot of Ceremonial Magic. So I'll probably be making some videos of this down the track. And I know Leander made a video. I watched hers a long time ago. She made a video on this deck, and I love it. And it's really cute because the artwork on this is his wife and him and his friends. So it's a personal deck to him as well. He made it. He teaches all these things to students in his house. So he actually made this deck with, to show students how to make their own tarot deck. And then it became popular, so he marketed it. So I'm really excited to work with that. And if you saw in the last week, I've started working with this rotamundi tarot, which is, you got it as well. The guidebook is really good. It jumps around a little bit and it's quite complex. Thank you. But I think that if you watch the videos that Daniel Loeb actually made about this deck, it actually makes, and the guidebook, it actually brings it together really well. And I've linked a couple of videos under the walkthrough I did of this, because I think it really helps you to understand this deck better. I don't know if I did a great job of explaining it because it's quite complex. So
I'm sure you did. I actually have made it up to day 7 of the Alchemical Wedding, and I've got to get back to reading.
Oh, it's fantastic, but it is, and it's something that I find that because it's hard for me to remember things, I have to read it in little bits, put it down, then come back to it. I don't know if you're the same. I can't just sit and read it. It's too much. It's information overload.
Yeah, I had to read one day of the wedding at a time and kind of digest it.
Exactly.
To get through it, right. Mm-hmm.
And then what else have I got? I've got the Angel Tarot, which surprised me. I've been working with angels, and I had a real aversion to angels coming from a religious, having a few years with religion. There's a few things that kind of put me off certain subjects, and this was one of them. But now coming back to it with a different perspective, and a perspective of using the angels and working with them, and through alchemy and Kabbalah and tarot, it's just made it all come together for me. So I'm really enjoying the Angel Tarot as well. And then in my normal everyday tarot life, I'm loving the Tarot of the Abyss, which surprised me because when I first got this deck, I actually looked at it and said, "No, I'm selling this." I love the artwork, but I didn't think I was connecting with it. And then I did a reading with it and I was like, oh, this is actually fantastic. So this is one that's grown on me and I love it. So those are the decks that are new that I'm working with at this very moment. There are more, but I thought if I bring them all up here, I'll be here for an hour showing you tarot decks. So yeah.
And then I have fun video itself.
Yeah. So that's what I'm doing at the moment. So yeah. Are you working with anything new?
Well, right now, I am taking that class on Kabbalah, and I have already learned so much. In fact, you were talking about simplifying it. Tonight, we went through a story she wrote that walked down the whole tree, and that was really made it really simple and comprehensible, and it was a lot of fun. So. The other thing that I've been working on is, and you've probably seen this on Instagram and YouTube, is I'm going through each card one a week and kind of deep diving into them. This was a project kind of like what you experienced, where you've kind of gone more internal and your own spiritual journey versus producing content to produce content, is what happened with me around, gosh, it was about midsummer. It was a new moon, and all of a sudden I just had this desire to finally finish something. And one of the projects I've been working on for years has been creating my own tarot deck and guidebook. And while I have like half a dozen or so cards already mapped out and lots of notes on them, I just never seem to get to each of the other cards. And so this year I've started pulling one a week and working through that card, all of my books, and looking at all the images in all of my decks and kind of building a mock-up, as it were, of what I want in my card and trying to relate it to my personal life journey. Because I feel like that makes the tarot more meaningful when you see yourself in it. And that's one of the things in some decks that I didn't quite see myself, to begin with. And it's taken me a long time to get to the point where now I'm like, oh yeah, well, I can read with any tarot deck. I would just prefer if they, were aesthetically pleasing to me and spoke to me. And so I've been working through that.
You can feel the difference when a creator does that, Rosemary. I've noticed that when I use a deck, it's like I can feel that the creators put some of themselves into it, and that's what makes me really bond with a deck. So I think that you're onto something there, because I think that people that are creating sometimes forget that. And that's where the connection is, because you see something that you can connect to that person, to what they've put into that card that makes it real.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I think some decks speak to me better than others. A lot of RWS clones just aren't, they're pretty, but they lack that personal touch. It's, replacing people with gnomes or people with unicorns or whatever the case may be. So yeah. So now some people wanted to know about our journaling practices, if we journal. Would you like to chat about that a minute?
Sure. I do journal, but I'm not like, I don't know if you've seen Boho Tarot and people like that. I love watching their videos and seeing their journals, but in all reality, I can't do that. Well, I could if I wanted to, but there's so much going on. Actually, I shouldn't make these signals. There's so much going on in here that I need to get things down fast. And I actually have problems with my memory. So I have to relearn things over and over and over. And that can be really frustrating for me. And sometimes, it actually does get you down, but then I remember that's what makes me me. But so my journals are a little bit different in the sense that they have to be something where I can keep up with what's going on up here and write them down in such a way that I can go back and re-access information to relearn it over and over. So my journals are really basic. Now, I don't know why, but I really love these notebooks, and I don't know if I have a bit of OCD in me, but I only want to use these cheap notebooks for my journals, and I've been using them for years. So I've grabbed the ones off the top, but these journals go back in many different colors. I think 10 years at least. And they actually stopped making them for a little while or they couldn't access them during COVID. And I almost had a meltdown, and I saw them recently. So I've bought a whole batch of them, but they're really cheap. But what I'm talking about is anytime I find information, whether it be on the internet or in, say, like a book like Chicken Kabbalah, I'll actually, whatever I'm working on that really resonates with me, I'll start writing about or copying and writing about and putting in my journal. And I'll also write what page I got it on, where I found it on the internet, so that I can reference it later, because I will forget. My memory is pretty bad. And I found that this has really helped me. And it is also great to go back on if you really want to, like I would like to write. I've been doing it with the runes as well, and I want to write a new rune book, because I've written a really simple one, but I want to write quite a comprehensive one. And this journaling is great to go back on as well, to access information that you may have forgotten about. Or, sometimes you read something and it's fantastic, but you don't think of writing it down. And then you're there 2 weeks later, 6 months later, and it comes to you. For the life of you, you can't remember exactly what it said, where it came from. It drives me mad. So if I do this, it really works. And I can see where I've progressed, because I can see, and then in 2018, I was focusing on the Marseille, because I have this whole journal full of absolutely and apparently tarot spreads, and that's what this whole journal seems to be about in 2018. So, yeah, that's what I do. And then in 2017, I was just basically learning, things that I wanted to add, like telling the time and getting different techniques from different readers and things like that. And then I also have these shaped ones. This is for Kabbalah and the Tree of Life and my Sephiroth. So, or Gematria as well. So you'll find me, getting a number in Gematria and doodling senselessly on all the different possibilities that this number could represent, and, things like that. And then finding the words that correspond to those numbers. And, that's just how my brain works. So my journals are very basic.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not a big journaler like Boho Tarot either. I mean, I could do it if I wanted to, but I don't do it normally. Liminal Lark actually said they want to be able to rearrange their pages in things. So they use disc binders for their journals. So, and I like that idea. One of the things
Leander, you need to give me a link to that. I'd like a link to where you're getting them, because I can't find them in Perth. I've been wanting to do that for a while.
Now, one of the things I realized this year was that the way I've been doing things up until about June was I didn't really keep, I kept a couple of journals, which I'll talk about in a minute, but mostly I just would do, notes on my weekly, monthly, and quarterly readings in my planner. And so I would draw out the spread and put the cards in, and then I'd write notes about what I thought it was about and everything. And then if I was taking a class or reading a book or something, I would make notes in the back where there's all of this bullet area. And information I want to retain, I would put a glue in here. But now I usually recreate my own version. So after I've wrapped my head around it, okay, this is now what I think. And so I put it here. So this is my wheel of correspondence for the tarot, which I've been working on for 15 years. And every year I adapted a little bit around something else. So this is what I feel lives in Malkuth on the Tree of Life. And so on my Tree of Life, which I've just recently updated. Oh, where'd it go? It's that one. Apologize for some reason. Oh, there it is. It wasn't showing up for a moment. I actually put it in Malkuth, but you'll see where I've started adding my correspondences and everything to the Tree of Life. And these are all from different things that I've studied at different times. It's not necessarily all from my class I've just done or a book, but over time I've just added to it. And I continue to do that. So, yeah. Oh, but I do. Okay. And so now what I decided is I have to be able to find things like you had mentioned. And I couldn't do that doing it this way. So I bought a bunch
Yeah.
of these bullet journals, which have clear covers, and I just did my own little cover. But and so I'm putting things in there. So like if I do a spread for something and I want to make notes on it, I do. Like the other day, I wrote a poem and I put it in here, drew a little picture. And then I might take notes like here's my Kabbalah homework, and that kind of thing. But then at the back, I'll just write a list of the topics for those pages, and then I'll know which date I need to go back to look at so I can find things again. I had these great notes on the court cards from Alison Cross that I am always looking for and can never lay my hands on. I think they're in my planner from last year. But then sometimes I'll get a deck. Yeah, sometimes I'll get a deck and decide I want to do a journal for it. So this was I got this to put the bone stone stuff in. And I've done a little bit with that, but my most ambitious journal was actually the Spirit Keepers. I bought this black journal and put the angel on the back and then cut out things from her book. And so it's actually I actually went all out with it, and I continue to add to it. A lot of it's about the decks, but there's also spreads and things. At one time when I drank a lot of wine, I would take the labels off the bottles and cut them out to use in the book as pictures and stuff. So yeah, and then I added there's another one. And then I've also added the Vitruvian and her Oracle deck in here and stuff, but I don't do that for every deck, and I don't journal everything. It's just random, like what I feel like I need. And so, yeah.
One thing I like to do, and I started doing it with the Thoth, but that's next to my bed. Yeah, I've left it next to my bedside table with the Thoth because there's a lot involved, let's face it, with that deck. What I used to do as well, because you can get all these meanings from other people, but they're not, I've never seen it really written as an everyday kind of, that makes it really simple as well. I like everyday things, I like it to be real life. So what I started doing was every morning I draw a card and I write down what it is from the Book of Thoth and anything else that resonates with me from any other of the books. And then I come back to it every night and I write what actually happened to me. So when I'm pulling the card, I say, I need a card for today, the energy, what's going to happen today, what this card represents. And then at night I go back to it and I write what that card meant for me, how it showed up in my life and what happened that day so that I can reference it later and see if there's a pattern that's occurring and why that card keeps appearing and what it means in my life. And I find that's really useful. I love doing that. And it's quick and easy. It's one card, but it adds up quick.
Right.
Yeah. So I love doing that.
Yeah. And so I know right now a big part of what you're doing is related to the Thoth. And I actually studied it with you for a while, but I don't think I'm going quite as deep as you are yet. I guess I'm still learning a bit about some of the things like Kabbalah was relatively new to me. I mean, I've studied it enough to kind of know where things go on the Tree of Life as far as the tarot goes, but I haven't actually studied Kabbalah itself until recently. So I'm looking forward to your video. I can't wait to see what's in that. But there's so much that goes on top of those cards. And one of the things that's perplexed me has been the Hebrew letters. Are you planning to study those at all?
Yes, there's an altar across from me on that side of the room that you can't see. So if you wanted to study those, I really recommend getting Son of Chicken Kabbalah and then going to Lon Milo Duquette's site and he has a course that's only $25, I think, or $30. And it's the first, second, and third degree initiation, I think he called it. And if you have the Son of Chicken Kabbalah and that workshop, he actually does a little initiation, and you start with the 3 mother letters, and you do exercises and learn a bit about them and work with them. And it is actually a course I think he did either in China or Japan, and you would work 6 months with each of the 3 degrees. And then you go on to the 7 double letters, which I'm doing at the moment, which are the planets. And then you go on to the remaining, 12, and that's your zodiacs. So that's what those Hebrew letters are representing, as well as the cards, as well as the meanings they've got, like Gimel, which means camel. The mother letters are fire, water, and air. And then the next double letters are the planets, and then the other 12 are the zodiac. And he takes you through that. And it's, I've got it here.
No, we covered some of that tonight, at a very basic level. And I've been looking at the Hebrew letters all along as I've studied through the Thoth and through Lon Milo Duquette's book, Understanding the Thoth. The only one that ever made any sense to me was Gamel.
Yes, because you're going across the abyss.
Because it's going across the abyss, it's the camel. But I haven't really been able to relate any of the other Hebrew alphabet to where they are.
It does come together. It does come together. And I've been watching on YouTube as I'm learning each letter, because it's taking a while, because he said 6 months for, each degree. So 6 months for the 3 mother letters, 6 months for the 7, 6 months for the 12. So it's a long time, but you really get to know them. But I've been watching Hebrew and Jewish channels on YouTube where they have rabbis and teachers going through each individual letter, and they talk about it a little bit. And that's been fun. So say I'm learning Mem today, which is one of the 3 mother letters represented by the hangman and water. Then I also draw them. I might take a photo and show you later. I draw them, then I on a cardboard, then I paint them, then I pin them up on my altar, then I get a candle that represents it. Then I go on to some videos and learn what Mem means, in the Kabbalah, and then I read it in here and I slowly add to it in my little book.
Wow.
And it's coming together. It really does.
Way more effort into it than I think I have in me for just the Hebrew alphabet.
I know it sounds a lot, but it's only like maybe 5-10 minutes a day. It's just that I've allocated 1.5 years to it, and so I don't have to rush through it. Okay. But it really, So I've even, you can see I've started separating the Hebrew letters then, just when I started just writing a little bit for each one, and it really does work.
Okay. Well, I'm going to have to go back and look at them and their associations that he had with the cards. And because from what I understand, the letters are associated with different paths in different systems. So
say you've got Gibble, then that's got the path allocated to it, and it's the high priestess. So it's that connecting one in the middle there that goes across the abyss. So so that it starts all falling into place. And I'm not saying that has fallen into place for me, don't get me wrong. It kind of sounds like I'm saying that. I'm listening to myself. No, there's so much to learn. My mind goes, and sometimes I have to take a week off or something, because I need to take a break, because there's so much. And if you follow one thing, you go down another wormhole and another wormhole and another wormhole. I think I'm reading 12 books at the moment. I feel like I'm in uni. So
that may have to be my rabbit hole for next year. This year I'm looking at the Tree of Life. Last year I was looking at, I think, Well, I don't even remember what I looked at last year, but I've been trying to
This
add things on over time, and I just haven't
this
quite
is
got
a
to the Hebrew
fantastic
alphabet.
book, Rosemary. It simplifies the tree of life. It's by Ted Andrews. He did the Animal Speak runes and a few books. He's actually got quite a lot of books. And this Kabbalah, simplified Kabbalah magic, I just can't recommend it enough for simplifying that tree of life and making it so easy to understand.
Okay.
So yeah, if you want, and it's not a big book. I think you could read it in a day or two, and it's also in very simple everyday language.
Okay.
So it's fantastic, and it has lots of associations for the tree of life in it and everything. So yeah, I really went crazy in this book. I have just written and highlighted everywhere, and I'm finding that I go to this all the time because it just simplifies it. It really Simplified Kabbalah Magic is a very good title for it. So I would recommend that if you just want to make it so that you can use it in your everyday life.
All right. Oh, I might check that out after I finish the chicken Kabbalah in my course.
Chicken Kabbalah is brilliant.
Yeah, the next month is going to be pretty hectic here. I have the things that I have been doing, and then on top of that, I'm in the midst of preparing for a convention next month. I've always run the art show for this convention, and this year I'm doing a tarot class, and so I've got to write the tarot class. I've only started it. I started it 2 years ago, and then we canceled the convention several times, and so now I'm like, oh well, now I have to do it, right? So yeah, but it should be fun over the next month anyway.
And also in the Chicken Kabbalah, if you're reading that, Lon Milo he also goes down the tree of life, and he talks about starting from Keter going down, and it makes it so easy to understand. He talks about looking in a mirror and seeing his reflection, and the reflection being Chokhmah, and then the realization of that being Bina, and then going down so that you can see how each one comes about, and that makes it really easy to understand too. So
Yeah, that
that's
was
in the
one
book
of the
as well.
things. Yeah, that was what we were doing tonight in our class,
Oh,
was talking about that, and she had written a story to follow
okay. He
along.
wrote a story as well.
Yes, yes. So I think that must be a
Yeah.
common thing with people with the Kabbalah. They try to break it down that way. But we started by going from the bottom of the tree up, and then tonight
Okay.
we kind of went from the top down.
Down.
So, which was nice because I think that helped with the understanding a lot. So, yeah. So, Liminal Lark, did you have any questions for Nina tonight? So, are you? Let's see. So we talked. So you're into runes a good bit. I actually need to finish studying runes. I actually started when Boho Tarot and Lisa Papez did a class, kind of thing together, and I got through 20 of them,
Oh, that's
and
good.
then I couldn't say I remember any of them now.
Only got 4 left.
But I still have to study the last 5, and then and I was really into it. It was one of those cases of I started something and I didn't finish it. I have a little bit of issue with that from time to time. The only thing I've stuck with for any length of time really has been the tarot. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I've been through lots of different jobs in my life, and lived lots of places, but the I think the tarot has stuck the longest of anything I've been into, really. But yeah, I actually had drawn my own runes with like
Really?
kind of like your spiral cards, where I tried to add images to remind me of what they were,
Mhm.
and I did the first 20, and then I got sidetracked and didn't finish. So that may be something I get back to after, later. in the next, like maybe next summer when it interests me again. It's one of those things like Lenormand that I love the idea of, and that I'll study for a while and get excited about, and then tarot is part of my daily practice, so I I'm on it for a few weeks, and then I am off it for a while before I go back. So I don't know if there's anything like that you have that just you periodically get to it, but it's not
I use the
every.
runes a lot, but in the past, I've started using the runes a lot, I think in the last 2 years, more than I ever did. But before that, I was like you. And I find that when you start it, everyone says that about it. It's something that you study, then you go away for a long time for some reason, and then you come back, and then you go away, and then you come back. And I've heard that repeated so many times. So I think that's actually part of the runes somehow. I don't know how, but I've heard it so many times from so many people that I think that's just how they work, and that's how you learn them for some reason. I don't know why, but everyone that I've spoken to has said the same thing. And as for starting decks, well, I started a rune deck as well, and I've left it now for 8 months. And, I do that too. They just sit there waiting. So,
Yeah, I actually, the only thing I ever finished was my study Lenormand deck. And I had it printed out and everything. And I can't seem to get the images right for make playing cards, but I now know what I'm doing wrong after having tried numerous times to load the tarot cards that I've been creating. I figured out my mistake with the Lenormand deck. So I may be able to actually get an actual copy of that I can work with eventually. So that would be great. Because the paper cards just don't work quite the same. Um, and then I have an oracle that I think I'm like 5 cards in. But I taught when I announced that I was doing it, I told people that I said, I'm doing these as I'm inspired to doodle,
mhm.
because they're my Sharpie doodles that I do. And I just happened to have some that I was excited about. Hi, Six of Wands. Hi, Patrice. Welcome. We are happy to take questions. We've been talking a little bit about our practices and what we're up to right now. We've talked a little bit about journals and about Kabbalah and the Thoth a bit. Patrice says she's waiting for the moment to grab her to get back into the runes as well. But she has everything ready. Yeah, my
Yep.
runes are actually, oh, they moved. Oh, they're on the bottom shelf now. I did have them on the top shelf up there, but they've moved. It was one of those things where at first I had bought this kit, which had the 25 runes and a blank one and a little book, kind of like you would get in a tarot deck, a kit kind of thing from a store. And I wanted to, but then as soon as I got them, I was like, oh, I want a nice rune set, and then I never got it because I was like, well, I haven't learned them yet. I really shouldn't go investing in them and all. And everybody in the rune group was showing all of their fancy runes they had bought or made and all of that. And I just, I did prevent myself from buying them. And
I think you
like,
deserve it. I think that, it's fun when you've got something really nice. And I like the tactile experience of the actual runes, using them and casting them. And, there's
yeah.
something special about it.
Yeah, I did briefly consider buying rune cards to help me to study and learn them, but then I was like, yeah, but that's the purpose of the runes is they're not cards, at least for
No.
me, because I work with tarot mainly. I
Yeah.
mean, I have a couple of oracle decks that I like and I use occasionally, um, but yeah, because I kept thinking they would help me learn, and that's one of the reasons I drew them, and I think they're still up on Instagram where I went through when we were studying them together online. But yeah,
I think the cards are really good the reason that I like them is, you know, for Instagram or when I do my readings on Monday with the cards and tarot, it just works better for holding up and showing people or in a photo or something. In my own personal practice, I just have the wooden runes that I made when I first began. And I think my tiger's eye set, so that a little one in a portable purse that I can take everywhere. But I think that's where the card ones for me come in really handy, you know, being able to hold them up and showing. It gets a little bit boring for people sometimes visually otherwise if you're just holding up. And this rune may look good to you because, you know, when you've made it yourself, you think it's fantastic, but you might be the only one. So I think cards come in handy in that regard as well.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that's true. I may have to look at the deck. All right. Well, did anyone have any questions? How about you? Do you have any questions? Anything you're curious about my practice or what you've seen me doing online?
I've been doing it a lot longer than I realized you have. So how did you get into it, Rosemary?
Well, I had been reading tarot for quite a long time, and in fact, and then I guess about 2017, we were doing our monthly tarot meetups. There were only 4 of us who ever went. We were part of the same Unitarian Universalist church, and which none of us go to anymore. But we would get together once a month, and we would do readings at Laura Perry's house, who I consider my an original mentor in all things pagan, but she created the Minoan Tarot by Schiffer.
Oh yes, I know that one.
Yes, it's a unique deck. It's based on a Visconti deck, so it has 86 cards because there are, female and male versions of all of the courts.
Mm-hmm.
So there's 6 courts versus 4. But it's an interesting deck. And I keep telling, every time I talk about the deck with her, I'm like, yeah, sometimes they look like pips to me, but she's like, yeah, no, they're just 2-dimensional art, you know, because there actually are specific images. It's just that because they were drawn in a Minoan style,
Mm-hmm.
it's unclear unless, you know, so I have to really study that deck when I read with it and look at her book, because it's very different.
So it's more of a personal deck for you? So you would use that more for personal readings, or?
Yeah, I would never use it for someone else because it's completely different than systems that I normally work with, and I'm not really into the Minoan practice like she is. So, but I wanted it because she created it, and she was actually one of the first people that I interviewed on my channel. And that's kind of where it started when I decided, I guess in 2018, I had my first deck, which was the Rider Waite in the blue box with the rose and lilies on the back. It got damaged, and I needed another deck. And at that point, I guess I discovered Tarot Tube and started seeing all of these decks. And I decided when I found out about the Spirit Keepers Tarot, I think that's basically when I decided to just go ahead and launch my channel and on Instagram to show my ritual coloring and whatnot. And then in January of that next year, I said, you know what? I might as well just go ahead and start a YouTube channel and show all these decks now that I'm accumulating, because I keep seeing them on other people's YouTube channels and acquiring them. And then I'm like, I might as well show them off. And so I decided that it would be a great way to launch my channel by interviewing tarot deck creators. And I interviewed Laura, and then I interviewed Maria Strom, who created the Hip Chick Tarot, also by Schiffer, because she is local to me. And then Pamela Chen, who did the Crystal Unicorn Tarot, was going to be in town around the same time that I had started my channel. And I'd asked her about being on it. And she was like, well, we could do a live like this, but she didn't have time to do an in-person interview, which was what I was trying to do back then, because I would not begin to know how to do this 2 years ago, right? And so it's just evolved. I started out just buying decks to try to have videos to do, walkthroughs, and then I was like, but I only bought stuff that I was really interested in, and then one day I was like, you know what, I got to come up with something else, and so I tried to plan things like the Thursday Thoth that I did and that type of thing, and it didn't work. So I think it's flowing better now that I'm trying to follow my spiritual practice or
Yeah.
journey, like we talked about earlier, having
Yeah.
a steady stream of videos about the cards I'm studying, and then I'm adding in videos about responses to other creators and hashtags, that type of thing. So, yeah. So this will be
And
our
you're
video,
quite
my video this
artistic.
week. What's
It
that?
sounds like you're artistic.
Well,
You like art.
I like to draw and paint. I don't paint as much as I probably should to get my skill where I want it to be. Yeah. Hi, John. Welcome. Oh, he's, yeah. But I do doodle a lot, especially in Sharpie. I love to draw Sharpie. It's just something about the way that ink just, fills up the
That
space
is
when
so
you
cool. You're
hold
the
it.
first person I've ever heard of that likes to doodle with Sharpie. I want to see some of your stuff. I've never
Yeah.
heard of it before.
Actually, I have some nearby. I thought I did. Well, they're not here. I've shown them in several of my videos, and
I'll
they're
have to look.
also on my Instagram.
Okay, I'll look.
One of the things I really enjoy is I will just sit there and I'll draw a wavy line, and then I'll make something out of it. Usually it ends up being a person's face, but occasionally it'll end up being something else.
I love that.
And so I have a whole bunch of different little people that are made out of those wavy lines.
Oh,
In fact, they were up here, like right. I'm so disappointed now because they were right here
that's
under
always
my
the way.
hand forever, and now that I need them, they're gone. So,
That's
but
always the
yeah,
way.
I do enjoy that. And
No, I'll
because
go
it's
on
just
Instagram.
I'm all for quick and easy. And so
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons I have not tried to draw my tarot cards with any detail. I've just
Mhm,
created them with public domain images and
mhm.
manipulated those to my liking.
How do
Just
you do that? I'm so
to get a
terrible at
mock
that.
up of what I want, so to speak. So yeah, so all of those are just public domain images I've put together to form kind of what I'm hoping for in a deck. So yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm enjoying chatting with you. We have like 10 minutes if there's anything else that anybody wants to hear about or chat about. Um, right now, Nina is doing a series on each of the Thoth cards and other things related to the Thoth. I'm looking forward to the Tree of Life video that you're going to be releasing this week.
I will be doing more
Um,
on those as well because I
what's
think it's
that?
such a complex. I'll be doing
Oh,
more on the Tree of Life because I think it's so complex and it's overcomplicated, and my mind doesn't work like that. So I think I'll be doing quite a few and trying to really break it down into different segments.
yeah, you're really good about doing that with topics. Like when we were studying the Thoth, and I think I've actually watched some of your videos on runes. Did you have some videos on runes? Yes.
Yeah, I've
Okay.
got I've deleted, I think I had 1,000 videos. I've got 150 left. I deleted so many. I really went on a spiritual journey. I don't know if it's gonna, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing to delete 750 videos, but so there's only the basics left. But that's also because I want to redo them, because as we do these channels, we evolve and we have better skills at making videos and things like that. So if anyone panics and there's something gone that they like watching, it's most likely going to get recreated in a more easier way to understand. But I
Sure.
think my channel's also become like a visual journal for me because it's so hard for me to learn things. And I really like things to be simplified. And then when I grasp them, then I can take those steps and get quite, good at doing things. But at first, I really do need things to be simple because I just can't seem to get things around in my head around it quite easily. And I think that those videos have become like a visual journal for me that I myself rewatch and to get it back into my brain and stuff like that. So I'm basically making what I want to see out there, but I'm not seeing enough of enough of that yet. Okay. Everyone that seems to make those videos is so smart. And they know what it seems like it's a second nature to them. So when they talk about it, it's quite complex to me, and I haven't got there yet. So
Sure.
we'll see.
So John wanted to know if you read Crowley's astrology book and if
No,
you
John,
liked it or not.
I have not. Because I bought it, don't you? Because I flicked through it and I bought 2 astrology books at once, which was also a mistake. And they're both hardcover and this thick. And then I think I got a little angry because I bought it from Fish Pond and it came completely damaged. And so I won't be using them again. They sent it in a bag. And it's a really big book and it's this thick and it cost me, I think, $130. So I had to save up for it. And it came really battered and bruised and they wanted to give me $10. And I think that put me off a little too. So it is sitting there. It has a prominent place on my bookshelf, but because I'm reading 12 books at once now, I haven't got to it. And John, I haven't even got to Magic Book 4 yet either. So it's like, and also, like I said, I'm trying to learn all these basic things so that when I do read those things, that it's all going in and I'm digesting it. It's making complete sense to me. John's amazing. He's on our Thoth from Scratch Facebook group as well, and he is a wealth of information. He just knows so many things. So, yeah, I absolutely love when he shares something.
Great. I'll have to go and look for his post. I'm sure I've seen them. I just didn't put 2 and 2 together.
John was the one that did he did the books each week. He'd show a Thoth book and then we'd rate it. Right. And then he made a whole list of where they were rated according to everyone's tastes. He once did a quiz on recognizing different things from different cards. And then, like I said, he's always posting these amazing videos. I don't know where he finds them that have just the right information. He's incredible. He finds everything. He's good.
So Patrice says that she's not really into Thoth, that she's missed watching your Rune videos. And she also says, sending love to Budgie.
Oh, thank you. Arnie's downstairs. He's gone quiet because I had to turn the telly off. And so he thinks he's alone. So he's gone quiet. But I will be making more Rune videos. And I think tomorrow I'm releasing another runic reading, Patrice. And in those, if you watch those, it actually, I'll be using the Elder Futhark runes. And it gives you an idea of how to throw them together in a reading and to do a reading. So even just catching up on my runic readings on Thursdays, I alternate between using a bag of mixed runes one week and then using traditional runes the next week. And it's a great way to learn how to cast them, how to use them, and how to read them all interacting with each other. So maybe that will help. But I will make more videos.
Awesome.
I just need more hours in a day and more energy.
Yeah, that's kind of how I'm feeling this last couple of weeks since I've been doing the class on Tuesday night on top of the other things that I've got going on, because I still work a day job, right?
Wow.
So, so that's fun. Patrice is asking who Arnie is.
Arnie the Budgie.
Oh, the Budgie. Oh, the Budgie's name is Arnie. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. Okay. My animals have decided that it is time for us to stop. The cat is here also with the dogs running around my legs. So I've really enjoyed this talk, and I hope we can do it again sometime. Maybe we'll do it again in the spring when you're entering the fall.
Okay,
All right.
let's do
All
it.
right. Yeah, I want to thank everybody for coming today. And please do check out the links if you're not already familiar with them, if you're watching this in playback, that are in the description on Facebook for Nina's decks, and as well as for her social media. And also look this Sunday for my live where I go through the card of the week, which this week is the 10 of Pentacles. We're talking about our legacies. So glad you could be here, Six of Wands. It's great to see you. Until next time, everybody, good journeys.
See ya.